Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the NOLA Jazz Band, mainly in central Iowa, but we've enticed them to this side of the state for a few gigs over the past few years, celebrating their 10th anniversary. With me is Jeff Kane, who's founder of the group, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
And Abby Sawyer. Abby, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here.
And yeah, great to have you. Of course, we last saw you, over a year ago now, because you're one of the vocalists for Diplomats of Solid Sound.
That's right.
And we had a grand old time with you all at Jazz Under the Stars.
That was so fun.
It was
such a beautiful night.
Yeah.
Oh, great turnout, too.
It was a very fun night. And you're a singer with this band.
Yes.
Yes. And Jeff, clarinet mainly, right?
Clarinet, yes.
Yeah.
I try to sing. I call it singing, in quotes, a few.
Yeah. With the name like, and the band has been, you got some gigs coming up in our neck of the woods. Yes. I remember the band mainly from an Iowa City Jazz Festival performance a few years ago, which was great fun.
Yeah.
I would call this, of course you call yourselves the NOLA Jazz Band. So for those who haven't heard the band, definitely kind of that fairly traditional New Orleans sound. Yeah.
Yes. So when I was creating the band, what I wanted to do was, I've got friends in New Orleans and New York City both, and we wanted to take kind of that old sound and feel, but also the energy. That's why we also have a vocalist too, because we love having the female vocalist with it, and just kind of modernizing that, if you may. So we play tradition to the past, but we also kind of put our own stamp on it.
Well, yeah, and New Orleans music has morphed and changed in so many interesting ways.
Yes.
Because, you think of...
As it should.
Yeah.
Everything should,
You think of traditional early jazz, and you've kind of got a little bit of a sound in your mind. But then you have the meters. You have Trombone Shorty, who have changed and elevated the music so much. So tell me about the origins of the band, Jeff.
So the band itself... My background, I actually grew up in Colorado, moved here kind of partway through high school, but I was exposed to gospel, older music, big band music, and that. My grandparents lived with us. So I was having that go through my head as I was younger, and my grandfather was my first encourager. I said he was the first guy I busked for. So he was retired, and I'd be practicing in the living room, and he'd be smoking a unfiltered Camel cigarette and drinking a beer and like cheering me on. So I was playing, so that was kind of my encouragement to play in that. But we had a director when I was just starting in middle school that had what they'd call a Dixieland band at the time. And so that's when I started playing that, was also playing sax in the jazz bands. And then I ended up really digging into that music and finding out how it started, and just really had a joy for it. Played it all through high school, played it up at UNI. When we were up there, we had a band that got third place in the nation in a contest there that Southern Comfort was doing, and got to play in Chicago. Tommy Newsom from The Tonight Show was the judge, so that was really cool. We got to meet Tommy and spend time in his hotel with room after that. Super nice guy. But that was kind of the genesis of how I got into the music. When I started this band, I hadn't played for a number of years. I'd played like Jazz in July in '91, had my kids, was a sales executive, so was playing but not publicly, and got back in and really wanted to put something together. So I worked with Bruce Chittister, who was the trumpet professor at UNI, because he was our person up there, and knew I wanted to get this band together. I wanted to have it be fun and be entertaining, and also not just for the musicians but for the audience. So that's kind of the genesis of how we started, and it's just kind of morphed since then into what it is now. That was at least kind of the founding principles of it, I guess you could call it. So, and we called it NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana, just so people would have some context of, we want it to be emotive, to be fun, that type of thing.
Abby, have you been in the band since the very beginning?
I have. So since day one, our very first gig at the Des Moines Arts Fest, when we played in the Jazz and Wine tent, and it seems like, with the bands that I've been in for years and years, like Diplomats, that one started with one gig, like, let's just do like one gig, and then it's like, and then 20 years later, here I am. And same with NOLA, it's like, okay, we're just gonna do like the one gig and see how it goes. And then it's been this like beautiful evolution over a decade, where we keep building our songbook. We keep building the NOLA universe, as I referred to it, with all the people who sub in. I mean, how many female members of a band can take maternity leave and have somebody fill in for them and then still come back? And that's something that I got to experience, having 2 kids. And so we have another vocalist, Lauren Vilmain, who's amazing, who came on when I had Emily and then when I had Leo. So it's been this band and this project that I've grown with and that we've all evolved with over the years and collected all these wonderful musicians along the way too.
So tell me about a lot of musicians that we would know, both from Central Iowa, and you reach into Eastern Iowa as well. So give me the personnel, the ever-changing, rotating personnel.
Yes. So we have kind of our main group, as Abby mentioned. We've got Abby on vocals, and then she mentioned too, Lauren Vilmain filled in when Abby was on maternity leave. So Lauren sings with some of our smaller groups, and she also sings with the large group. We'll get to it maybe a little bit later, but we just did a taping for Iowa Public Television, and Lauren also sang with us for that. We've got myself on clarinet and some vocals. We have the Hat, as he's known, Scott Davis on trumpet, who most people in Central Iowa know very well. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Jazz Hall of Fame. Just incredible improviser, great guy.
Great personality.
Trombone, we have Anthony Williams from UNI, and Anthony just kills it. I mean,
Dr. Williams.
Yeah, Dr. Williams.
We know Dr. Williams very well,
Absolutely.
and it's a measure, obviously, of the affection he has for the band and the music. That he drives to gigs.
I know.
He drives to your gigs from Waterloo, Cedar Falls.
Oh, he's great, and it's so funny with Scott and Anthony and I on the gig. It depends on where we're playing and what the audience is, but one of us on soloing, sometimes you can tell we'll either like really go for it or do some cool little thing that no one's done before, and everybody picks it up. So we all just kind of feed off of each other. So it's really fun. And we switch the solo orders on things. So it's always fun to kind of hear who's picking up things. And just a side note, but I think so. This is on my mind. We were doing a gig for a fundraiser for actually it's Homes of Oak Ridge in Des Moines, and so usually your background music for that, so the whole big group, and we were playing, and the people really liked when we were improvising and really doing it out. So it was myself, Dave Cobberdahl was subbing on trumpet at the time, and Anthony on the front line, and so again we were being really playful that day with our solos and stuff. And Anthony started this solo, and he was just doing one note. He was going like bow, 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 bow. And he kept doing it. And so Dave and I looked over and we go, you need to own it. He did 3 choruses of one note, like in octaves with different rhythms with the mutes. And these people in the front couple, rows were just going nuts. So, I mean, that was one of those times where we ended up not being background music, and the people were just really, really enjoying it. So anyway, that's a great Anthony story. We've got Jamie Polson on piano, who
from
is a
Simpson.
professor at Simpson College, and just can play anything by ear. He's incredible. In fact, we do a little segment with him called 60 Seconds with Jamie, where he just plays different songs and the audience calls it out.
Because he came from a background of rock bands, so
Yep.
he plays Styx and Beatles and all these recognizable
all the
tunes.
great New Orleans
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah, exactly.
As well as accompanies all the opera people down in Simpson. So he's very, very versatile. Just a great guy, funny guy. We've got Bob Brown on drums, Bob's been around forever, played with a lot of bands in the 80s that played, 7 days a week, which people don't anymore down in Des Moines, but just was a rock guy by background and then got into jazz, so he really drives the music. And then currently we've got Chris Walsh. We picked him up right after the day he graduated from Drake.
That's right.
And he's played with us ever since then. So appreciate it. Dave Altemeyer was kind of filling in for us at the time when we were between bass players. And Chris had taken from Dave, and Dave goes, you should try Chris. And I mean, Chris has just been
Killer.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's just kills it on bass. So.
And sometimes Blake.
Yeah,
Shaw
Blake
will
Shaw.
fill in.
Blake Shaw
sits in with us too. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
the
is
once
great.
the once and future bassist
Yes.
of Iowa. Iowa's bassist. So 10 years with the band, and as I mentioned, you've got you do have an Eastern Iowa gig coming up on the 21st in Decorah. Yes,
We do. And that one's going to be unique. The band, we've kind of set it up like we've got kind of our set few people that we have that are similar, but we also set it up so people can come into the band and bring their personality to it. So this one's going to be really fun. We've got a few people that play with us and some that are new. So it'll be Central Iowa, it'll be Abby and I, and then kind of our backup bone player, Paul Lichty. Great player, great composer.
We had the BYO brass at Jazz Under the Stars this year.
Yep.
Nice.
So Paul's going to be playing that with us, and he plays with us quite a bit. And then we'll have an Iowa City contingent. Blake's going to be on bass, and then Carson Parker will be playing piano with us, and then Chris Jensen will be playing with us for the first time on drums.
Oh, okay, yeah, you do. You do have the Iowa City Mafia.
Yeah.
In for that gig, definitely.
And so then from actually formerly of Luther in Decorah, but now in Wisconsin, John Alabone. Yeah, John's going to play trumpet with us for the first time, so we're really excited about that. So it'll be kind of a Iowa, Wisconsin kind of all-star group that's playing for that.
So what's the venue you're going to be playing then?
We're actually playing, it's just kind of on Main Street there. They're starting this, I guess it was a festival they'd had a number of years, Arts and Music Festival, that had died out about 15 years ago that they're bringing back. So they've got, the big thing that they do in the summer, obviously, up there.
Nordic Fest. Yeah.
Nordic Fest, which we did a couple years ago. And so they're bringing this back. So this is the first year. So they asked us as kind of the main group to come and kick that off because the people really liked us at Nordic Fest when we played.
Live on the Winnebago.
Live on Winnebago. So I think
live
that's the name of actually maybe one of the
It is. It's one of the
streets
streets right off Main Street. Yeah, I used to live in Decorah. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Such
My
a
daughter went to
lovely
Luther.
town. Yeah.
Love the town.
Yeah.
Love the town.
So, and then you mentioned also that you did some recording for IowaPBS.
Yes.
We did. So that, it's interesting because we've got 3 recordings that we have. The first one we did live in a studio up in Ames. After we'd been together, we started at the Des Moines Social Club in March of 15th, and we're the longest ongoing act there until they closed for like 4.5 years. So we did we recorded live in the studio for that first one. The second one, unintentional, at the Social Club, Iowa Public Radio was doing a broadcast. And so we kind of liked that, worked with them, and then that became our second live album. Then our third one, again, unintentional. We'd had the person who's my mentor, Evan Christopher, who at the time was in New Orleans and now is in New York City, just phenomenal clarinet player. He came and played with the band, and Noce was just starting at the time, Max, this was in 2020, early 2020, starting to record things off the panel and stuff. So I said, hey, I just wanted to hear it. Can you guys record that so we can hear it? Well, we played in March of 2020. And then a few days...
Probably just
Do you remember that time?
A few days after that, you know what happened.
Yeah.
So
we had a concert on the Tuesday, and then everything shut down on the Friday. So, yeah, remember that well.
Yeah, I think it was like the Friday before everything shut down.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So I was just listening to that, so they threw it to me. It sounded really good. So Steve Kapp, I don't know if you knew, Steve was in Des Moines for a number of years, but he was from Detroit and is back there now. But Steve's an incredible audio engineer and did stuff for Aretha Franklin, Earl Klugh, all these people. But he knows all of us Des Moines people and kind of does us, a good favor when we need stuff engineered still. So I sent it to him, and he goes, wow, this is really good. He goes, you should send this to Evan. Like, nothing's going on. So I sent it down to Evan. I said, hey, we've got this recording. It sounds really good, but, you're a professional art. Would you be okay being on it? And so Evan listened to it. He calls me and he goes, yeah, why don't you release it? It sounds better than I remember.
Is it a compliment? I don't know.
But you have to know Evan. Evan is a great guy, but he can be very dark humor too. But that is actually a compliment come from him because he goes, it's better than I remember. He goes, I'm okay with that. He goes, put it out there. It's good. So but it was just really cool because we met. It's just like most of the stuff we do. We do not practice much at all. I mean, we might throw some stuff together. We do for a Christmas show, but it's just, here's some music. Let's try it out at the sound check, and we'll see how it goes. The same with Evan. Evan came into town, stayed with us. We met at like 4, and I think we had till 5 for opening up, and we just talked for a while. And we probably took 30 minutes just basically walking through how we might do these. They're all head charts. So there's nothing written out pretty much. But it was just amazing, especially Abby on one, Make Me a Palette on Your Floor, which is the last one on there. It's like a 9-minute jam because we were just going to do it. And Abby goes, well, I know that one. I learned that in like grade school. So he'd never done it with a vocalist. So we added Abby in. It was just phenomenal.
Super fun.
Just amazing track.
And then we got contacted by IowaPBS, and they're starting this new series called Live from Studio 3. That's what it's called, right?
Yep, Studio 3 Live.
Studio 3 Live. And my stepmom works there, so I grew up in all those studios, and I was like, wait, which studio was it again? And they invited us to be part of this new series, and so we were actually the first taping of this new series that they'd ever done, and gorgeous set and everything, and it was in front of a live studio audience, and we recorded that audio, and that lives on the internet, so if anybody wants to see it, they can find it. But now we're taking that audio and making another album from it, so hopefully it'll be out this year.
Yeah, it's great recording. Steve's got us the rough tracks already, but we're not going to need to do much at all to it. Just, tweak to make, the sound more like it's auditorium or something.
Nice.
Because we love live albums because that more or less catches how we play.
Well, as you said, it's, head charts, changing, it's changing sometimes list of personnel. So it is. Everything happens on the stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and that was interesting, too. I don't know if I mentioned, but we've got the different personnel in there, too, so it's really neat. We've got Jack Deal, who's up at UNI now, and was the main drummer in the National Jazz High School for years.
Out of Valley, I think.
Yeah.
He was
incredible. And then we got Finn Pope, who went to Drake, who's just a phenomenal piano player. That's the first time he'd played with the big group for the recording. And then another fill-in was Dave Cobberdahl on trumpet because Scott was out of town. So, yeah, just great players.
So 10 years of NOLA Jazz. What's changed in that decade, other than the personnel?
Yeah, I think what's changed is, it was interesting going back to like when Evan was here because he listened to us and played. You guys are a lot of fun. He goes, I don't quite know how to pigeonhole you. He goes, you're like a show band, but you're not. But you're like a traditional band, but you're not. He goes, but it's just a lot of fun. So that's kind of what we've done. It's more or less been listening to new people that are doing things out there. There's a lot of great new music kind of coming out in that swim lane, if you may, that will do some things. We just did a new one by a group in Paris, Marshmallow, Fool's Train, which is a really cool song. That's an original by them. We do some things by Chelsea Reed and the Fairweather Five. That Chris Oates is actually in that band. It's a bunch of them that went to Temple together years ago. There's a guy named Jason Jerzak who's a sousaphone player down in New Orleans, and we do a couple of his songs that are just really good. So we kind of do a mishmash of, we've kind of figured out kind of what our thing is, and when we hear it, we kind of know it. And
it's interesting to see how, with time, you can only earn this with time. Like as more people come to our shows and they get to know us, and then some become really super fans, and then they come back and then they bring their friends. And then we discover new music, and then we all converge in that live moment. There's experiences and this richness that you can't take a shortcut to get. It's like it's come after 10 years of people who've come to see us, and they remember when we played Sweet Georgia Brown this one way that one time with that one player, and now they're eager for the moment that's going to happen right now. And so it feels like this beautiful progression because we didn't have all the followers when we first started. And even 5 years ago, I guess we were playing at the social club and people would bring their kids and they'd come in hot after work and they need a cocktail, and it was a very speakeasy, like alive vibe. And as the venues have changed, as the songs have changed, as the fans have grown with us and we've changed and learned things over time, it's been an honor to keep playing and to discover new music and to see what that sounds like in the moment. I don't know. It's when I first started in this group, it's like I didn't know where it was going to go, and I still don't consider myself a jazz vocalist. So maybe that's part of what makes the band unpigeonholeable is because I'm here for the fun, here for the heart, here for the new experiences, the connecting with people, and I never learned the rule book, and so I can't play by it. And so, being open to what each new song and like each new configuration of the band is going to bring to the moment of the live experience. It's exciting for every gig, whether it's a trio gig at a restaurant or if it's like with a big group at a festival. I get a thrill out of it. So it's fun even after 10 years.
Well, and the music of New Orleans is not going anyplace.
Absolutely not.
Still a huge part. Past and present, still a huge part of the jazz identity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and I would argue just as vital today to what we do as as when it started or when you started even.
Mm-hmm. And being in Iowa and having a band called NOLA Jazz Band, sometimes people get confused. Like they ask us, "Are you from New Orleans?" And so we're in this unique situation where we're bringing to life our interpretation and our feel on music about New Orleans or from New Orleans or not even from New Orleans. And so I feel like this same band in the same way couldn't exist in New Orleans because we're removed. And some of the people who come to see our band have never been to New Orleans. So it's like their experience and their perception of the music, of the culture is influenced by an Iowa band doing New Orleans music that was maybe written in New York that, so it's fun and it feels, and I always joke that we're going to make how there's like yoga retreats and meditation retreats, that we're going to make like a NOLA retreat where we all get on a bus together and we go down to New Orleans for the full experience. And I'm still taking pre-sales for that. So if anybody
tour NOLA with NOLA Jazz.
Exactly.
I like it. Yeah.
I'll take your deposit. I don't have any plans for booking the thing though. So
Fry Fest too.
NOLA Jazz performs in Decorah at their new or I should say restarted musical fest on September 21st. You can find that online if you'd like to know more. As I said, you guys mainly gig in central Iowa, but you get in this neck of the woods occasionally. And if people are interested in where you're going to be, they can visit you online. What's your website?
NOLAJazzBand.com.
And probably also follow on Facebook. Yeah?
Facebook and Insta we've got also. Yeah.
All right, super. Well, this has been great fun. Congratulations on 10 years of NOLA Jazz, and we've enjoyed music. Glad to have all your CDs in one place, which you brought with you, and looking forward to the next one coming out too.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
Dennis.
Dennis.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yep.
Thank
you.
you.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.